Thanks for joining us for another Burn30 podcast. I'm here with some buddies here from Gameday Men's Health in Mechanicsburg. We're going to have a little conversation about men's health and all things men's fitness and just all the new things that are happening. And you guys have been here before, so you're pros, but we were joined with Kelly here, his first time. I'm sure these guys told you how easy this was and how much they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've done a few podcasts in the past, so it's
the look of fear that wiped over John and Gavin's face from the start here. But we have John and Gavin and Kelly, and I appreciate you guys being here. I thought we'd just kind of kick this off and jump right into it. Why you guys decided to bring Kelly in here, and maybe John, you could introduce Kelly and how you guys are connected, and then let Kelly kind of tell his story, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much of his thunder, but I was introduced to Kelly through a fellow Gameday Men's Health owner. We hit it off right away, and I heard his story, which he'll tell here momentarily, and I thought, wow, what a great thing to tell and be able to share to help a lot of guys in our community.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Kelly, do you want, I don't know where to start with you, if you want to just kind of say how you ended up at Gameday Men's Health, and if you feel free to go as far back as you like.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm 44 years old. I spent 24 years in the military. I've been a fireman since I was 16 years old. I currently work for the city of Harrisburg. Throughout my whole entire life, I've been called a tactical athlete, as I would consider it. Within tactical athletes, you have between mental stability and obviously having the right stuff to conclude missions, whether it's in combat operations or whether it's in the fire service.
What got you into doing fire at 16?
Funny story. I was born in Italy, raised in Italy, moved to the States when I was 14, and I took a local trip with my school to the local firehouse in Italy, and I saw them jumping from the mid-rises that they had there into the platforms that they had, and I was like, I'm either going to be a doctor or I'm going to be a fireman. And, well, wasn't smart enough to be a doctor, but I was definitely smart enough to be a fireman. So
is that a volunteer or paid in Italy?
Both. They both have career and volunteers, just like the United States throughout. So, I always wanted to do that. So when I came to the United States, a couple buddies of mine introduced me to the volunteer fire service, which was in West Hanover where I started out, and kind of traveled around as I moved. Sammy Kime and Matt Bastian, those guys kind of introduced me to the volunteer fire service, and I was hooked ever since.
That's awesome. So, and then when did you join the military?
I joined the military December 17th of 1999.
Okay.
Retired two and a half years ago.
Well, thank you for your service. And having the background with military and fire, obviously you're staying active and you continue to serve in a role with the fire department. And I'm sure that takes a lot of toll on you physically and mentally. And maybe we can kind of see how Gameday has been able to fit into with that for you.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I wasn't feeling very well. If you look at my track history of combat operations in 05, 06, and 07, I spent some time in Ramadi and was blown up and got a Purple Heart. So I have traumatic brain injuries throughout there where my brain actually has some white spots throughout it, and always suffered from that. And then continued on, saying kind of like, got treatment through the VA, didn't quite understand as a young pup what was going on. I just kind of muddled my way through, went through a couple other deployments, schools through the military, and just kind of continued on a decline physically and kind of mentally throughout. I spent the last 2-3 years ago, last deployment was in Iraq again. And when I got home, I just wasn't feeling right. I was run down, just felt awful, just completely not myself, not motivated, kind of doom scrolling all the time. I just wasn't feeling myself for what I know as, a tactical athlete and a person who is continuously moving forward or moving the ball forward, just didn't feel right. So happened to find Gameday and talk to them about some of the stuff. And we got my testosterone tested, and I was at 272. And I was in complete denial at that point.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, that's not right. The VA told me I was fine. My PCP told me I was fine. At that point, my PCP said that my testosterone was at 300. You're good to go. I was like, okay. I just chalked it up. Well, told my wife, I'm getting older. I'm almost 40 at that point.
Sure, we accept a lot of things as just aging. We're like, well, that's just how it's going to be. That's just part of aging, right?
And my dad was the same way. Oh, when you get older, you're just going to kind of decline. You're going to be sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And going to be going to bed at 8 o'clock.
Everybody's like, just wait until you hit 40.
Yeah.
And then like you just fall apart. Right?
And John can attest to this. I'm the type of guy that was like, no, not me. I will find a way, right? And in this level of technology, in this day and age, there shouldn't be no human being that is feeling, whether it's female or male, or doesn't matter, should not feel like, oh, well, this is it. I'm just going to take the next 50 years and just be like, sit on my couch.
Can I ask, so were you pretty active at that point still?
Oh yeah. Cycling all the time, trying to weather through the process and just continue to, try to meet milestones. My run times were getting slower. Cycling wasn't able to recover. Muscle soreness all the time. I was like, man, I went through the full gamut. I went from cancer screenings to everything.
Yeah.
I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I finally found Gameday. They tested me, 272. I was in complete denial. So I was like, oh, I'm going to fix it myself. I did the ice baths. I did saunas. I did the intermittent fasting. And I was like, yeah, I got
And that's what we see when we're doing that doom scrolling, right? Like we're constantly seeing all these trendy things that like trying to get a quick fix on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And I did. I tried it. So I was like, oh, I got this. I went back to get tested. I think I bumped up like 6 or 7 points of like 281 or something. Like, I'm like, oh.
That's it.
So my denial went out the window, and that was it. I said, let's do it. We'll test it out. And so far I've been just shy of a year. I think next month will be a year that I've been on TRT. And I, like a Energizer bunny came on. Even my wife is like, all right, well, this is the old Kelly I remember at 18, 19 years old. And not just sexually, right? Like, because everybody talks about the big stigmas of the world, right? Nobody wants to talk about it. It's like, oh, silent. This doesn't work or that doesn't work, or I'm just fine in the bedroom. Yeah, I was fine there. The issue was that I just wasn't myself. Yeah. I didn't feel like myself.
And it sounds like you're saying physically and mentally.
Yeah. No, and not in a depressed state where I was like, something is wrong that way, but I just knew that some type of chemical or something was not correct. I couldn't place it at that moment in time. It just wasn't feeling like. I'd get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and I'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna sit down and just relax.
Yeah.
And a whole day would go by. And now it's like, get up, we have a routine, go to the gym, do whatever I need to do, and I'm still active past 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
And you have the energy that you need for your family as well.
Correct. Yeah. Before I used to come home from work drained. I didn't feel like doing anything. I'd be sitting, we'd eat dinner together, sit down and just vegetate. But now we are pretty active and continue doing stuff.
Well, let's talk to you guys, Gavin. I'm sure you see a lot of this guys coming in. Is there a stigma to it, or are they? What is going through their heads when they're first walking in and getting tested?
I think we get a pretty large range of emotion. I have some patients that kind of knew it, like they knew that was the problem, like they just finally had an opportunity to see a specialist that can take care of that. Some people kind of there's some patients that just wind up in our clinic. They actually have no idea how they get there. Sometimes they don't even, when we're like following up on the appointment, they're like, well, what is this for again? I mean, then quite a few people like you, like they know something's wrong, but they just, let me get my test checked and it's low, and they're like, oh no, I'm a man's man, I can't have low testosterone, and then they're in denial, and and
like it's something that we do ourselves, right? Like I can't believe I let my TRT or my testosterone slide. In
the military network and my network, it's just like, we don't talk about that. Yeah. It's like, no, wrong. We need to talk about this because it's not you didn't create it. You didn't do something wrong. And that's where I think some of that stigma comes into play. And everybody thinks it's like something we got to keep in a locked door. It's taboo. It's like, oh, let's talk about this.
I think so many people, I can speak for myself, were raised that way too, right? Men don't cry, men don't cry, men don't cry. Toughen up, suck it up. Yeah. So it's kind of ingrained in a man these days. Maybe not so much these days, but especially at all of our ages.
Well, yeah, it goes back to the conversation that my dad had with me. It's like, well, when you get older, just get ready because you're just going to be relaxing and just not do anything. Prepare for he would say prepare to die. And I'm like,
well, a lot of people, that's the mindset, right? That's a lot of people's mindset is that is just the way nature's taking its course. And, energy stops. So that means exercise stops. That means family time declines, work declines, everything and you kind of sit around. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you were talking about the other guys.
The only thing I was also going to point out is often than not, we actually get a lot of people that get their appointments arranged by their wife or family members.
Yeah.
They notice, if I'm on the outside, that there's something wrong, and they sometimes take that step for them and get them into the clinic. So yeah, it's a very wide range of responses and approaches.
We had a client at Burn30. He was working out nonstop. He was eating right, and he just could not lose the weight. And energy level, like you said, was down. And finally, he went to Gameday and got tested, and right away found out that his levels were low. But the thing that was nice about when he got tested, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing this, that there were some other areas of his levels that it wasn't best for him to start TRT right away. They had to get some other things in check before, and they took care of that for him, right? So they were safe with it. They made sure that he was at a place where he could start the TRT, and he's a different man now because of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of different, I would say, over-the-counter things in Iraq, even in 05, 06, and then recently when I was over, just trying to level up for human performance, right? Human performance, whether it's in the brain, or human performance, whether it's in the body. The tactical athlete, as I would call it, whether it's military or fire or police, that itself is something that you're trying to constantly improve so that you can either chase the person or find the person or be at that level that you need to be for them, whether it's search and rescue or any of that stuff. So when you do go to Gameday, they don't just look at, okay, your level of TRT is this, but they look at a full panel of things that also peered into be like, okay, maybe you should lay off of, some red meats or whatever that may be to kind of tailor that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've had that conversation at length and be like, okay, yes, you're low here, but you're also low in vitamin this, or you need to step up here in order to get the complete package, because it's not just TRT, it's a complete package of human performance, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about that whole picture. We're not just pushing one thing here, right? Like, we're looking at somebody as a whole. We're seeing, I assume, we're looking at exercise, diet, sleep, lifestyle. I don't know, maybe you guys could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Adam, one of our other providers, is really great at this, but he will actually draw out the pie. And so it's like a graph. And so, we kind of identify that, hormones are this slice of pie, and as you can see, it's only a portion of it, but this much is important about sleep and exercise and diet. And I always tell all my patients, like, yes, you will feel better on testosterone, but starting testosterone may not necessarily fix all your problems. It doesn't matter how much testosterone you take. If you're only sleeping 4 hours a night, you're going to be tired. There is no same thing for like people that are working out. Like, testosterone can help with body composition and motivation, but you still actually have to work out. Like, you're not going to grow muscles by itself. So exercise is important.
Not to laugh too much, but do you have people that come to you with that kind of mentality?
I don't think anyone says it out loud, but some people expect medication to do things a lot more than what they actually can do. Yeah. And they, and eventually people realize that you have to put the work in too. And I think we can, sometimes it takes time for them to realize that. They start feeling better, and then they're more motivated to put the work in.
We see this with GLPs at the gym all the time, where they start the GLPs and they think, well, I'm losing the weight, I'm good, right? And
they forget the other aspect of it. And I'm not a medical doctor, but they forget the aspect of they lose all that weight, but they still got to continue building that muscle mass to make sure that
it looks like they're just bones,
shell.
Skin and bones. There's no muscle there, and GLPs, definitely.
It's actually very important to work out while losing weight like that to maintain muscle mass, tone. You can tell the difference between someone who's lost weight and did it the right way. I mean, maybe with some assistance from the medicine, but also did diet and exercise. And those who just drop weight using medication, it's a clear, different picture when you look at them. And sometimes, I guess media has labeled it as like the Ozempic face, where they have the gaudy appearance and stuff. So medication is great to help people, but you still have to put the work in. There's nothing that's going to substitute exercise, diet, and sleep. Yeah,
in 2025, we shouldn't, we should be able to use the technological advances that we've made in medicine to aid, right? Not substitute, but aid the fact that, human performance is still getting dirty,
Absolutely,
right? Getting dirty in the gym,
Yeah.
running sprints, being a tactical athlete in general throughout human performance, whether you're cycling or doing whatever you want to do, but it's a package deal that comes together, in my opinion, that makes it all work.
And so many people are just doing the gym, right? And just grinding their gears and not seeing results. And that's where what we're talking about now can really take that to the next level, or actually make it do something,
Yeah, more so now than ever, especially in 2026.
Oh, yeah.
Did you say 2025?
Yeah,
I'm still writing that on your
2025.
checks. I had that too, yeah.
I had to tease them. But, I mean, I come from, 18, 20 years of healthcare, and just to see, you definitely see these, the UPMCs of the world taking over. We have to manage our health more on our own now than ever, excuse me, because sometimes you just feel like you're a number, and if you're not managing your own healthcare, I mean, doctors they're human. People make mistakes, so you can be misdiagnosed, and you just got to listen to your body, like you were saying. Listen to your body and do what's right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. We talked a lot about TRT, but let's talk about some of the other offerings you guys have. We're talking about full picture stuff. So let's say I walk in first time. I tell you I'm lethargic, or I'd like to lose some weight. What are some options for me?
Well, again, it starts with our in-house lab. Someone comes in, we draw their blood, 20 to 25 minutes. We have results on site, and that's where the consult starts, right? We know exactly where your blood pressure is, your hematocrit, your testosterone levels, and our providers who are extremely educated, they will kind of guide you down the path that you wanted them to, with whether it's testosterone, or we have peptides. The peptide world is speaks for itself. I personally can attest to the multiple peptides and the blends that they're coming out with now, depending on your goals. We have a machine that does musculoskeletal shockwave therapy, which is huge for aches and pains.
Yeah, I did some of that and loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm personally now doing it on my knee. I had a little bit of arthritis. I had a partial knee replacement. I'm 2.5 months out, and I'm allowed to use it now. So I just did my first treatment. I feel great.
How often do you recommend doing that?
Once a week. Spread it out
Okay.
over usually 5 to 6 treatments once a week.
Okay. And we did talk about GLPs, so it's worth mentioning again.
Yeah, I mean, as Gavin mentioned, no drug is a miracle drug,
Right.
but with the assistance of a GLP-1, it can really just change your life. I have not experienced it personally, but you can speak about it more of the patients you've seen that it really does help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma.
Yeah, it's a great helping hand. It definitely sometimes can get people started down their health journey. A lot of people, they just need to see some results, and the medication.
I did. We talked about it before. I did some microdosing with you guys, and it definitely was that bump to get me back into where I wanted to be, and put a fire under me to keep that going.
But it's no different psychologically. If you don't see results in the gym, if you're low on testosterone and you're going to the gym 5 days a week, following a proper nutrition plan, eating clean, doing all the right things, and you still retain the same. Now, obviously, you have to be honest with yourself, right?
Oh,
we
sure.
have to be honest.
Yeah.
But people say I'm eating clean and then not eat clean.
I'll run into people from our gym every once in a while out, and same way, we're both standing there with a beer in our hands or something like that. We can't complain, right?
We can't say we're eating a bag of chips and then say we're not making results. But at the same time, if you are doing the right things and everything is tracking correctly for you on your book or doing however you track it, and you're still not getting results, maybe there is something else that they can take a look at and say, okay, hey, this is where we're going to go.
Yeah, I think patience too is the biggest thing. Like, you're not going to see results overnight with anything, right? You didn't put the weight on overnight. You're not going to lose the weight overnight. I had a patient today that asked me that. I said, give it 3 months. I said, you're probably going to feel better before that. Definitely feel better. You might not see results for 3 months.
Sure.
Just you got to give it time.
And there is a plateau level of some of these peptides, right? That, Gavin, I don't know if you can mention that, how you push through that, or what that looks like.
Yeah, I think early on, and like especially the GLP-1s, make sure I say the name right, the GLP-1s. Yeah,
Gavin was upset last time he was on. He flipped the letters around, so we're giving him a little.
Yeah. So people lose weight pretty quickly early on, especially the more weight you need to lose. But eventually people do plateau, and there are some things that we can do. Obviously, can go up on the dose of medication. Sometimes a lot of patients, because of the product that we use, a compounded product, we are able to adjust dosing, split dosing, do micro dosing. You can't do that with
with those pens, right?
With the brand name through the retail pharmacies. So, a lot of patients sometimes tell me, especially after a few months being on it, that they kind of still, like, by the end of the week, their appetite returns before it's time for the next shot. So what we do, we can just start splitting up their injections. We can change some dosing around. So there's definitely some things that we can do to help people when they plateau. So it's, you're not going to go, progress. It's not going to be a straight line.
Sure.
It's going to be kind of, but as long as the trajectory is positive, then the treatment's working.
So TRT, peptides, what else you guys have going on?
As I mentioned, the musculoskeletal, the MSK shockwave therapy, that doubles as a erectile dysfunction or erectile enhancement treatment, which has been tremendous for our patients. Our newest provider, she comes with 17 years PCP experience along with aesthetics. So she's going to be bringing aesthetics in for Botox.
Talk to me about Botox.
Well, obviously, the obvious areas are the face, but she does anything from TMJ treatments, PRP, and for hair loss. Guys that have a little extra sweat in the armpits, it can be used there. Hands as well. Gavin knows the technical.
Yeah, hydronitis. You can use it in the hands or armpits to help with sweating. Aesthetic applications, which are, you can get those to med spas too, but then, they also do, TMJ, occipital nerve blocks, trigger points, neurotoxins have a lot of different applications other than the, everyone knows the standard like aesthetic application, but it actually has quite a bit of applications that can be applied for different things.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part, I think, as we move on to 2026, 27, 28, and so forth. The technology is advancing at quite the speed.
Yeah.
And I don't personally, I can't speak to this, but I don't sometimes think that PCPs are keeping up with the way either trends are going or behind at times. And military was the same way. We were still using fat body compositions from the 1930s. Well, the food was different. Let's be honest. In the 20s and 30s, the food was completely different than what we have currently today. And they're still taking fat body compositions from that. And then while muscular and endurance of humans have changed, they're still trying to use those metrics, and they're slow to change. They're finally changing with some of the rules and regulations going on. But I think a lot of times that places are behind, and then places like this come up where they've made that jump over and allowed that to continue, and then other people are catching up. And I think Gameday, in my opinion, is that top tier place where at a level you're not going to the black market, you're not going online and going, oh, I'm going to go search my own TRT because my PCP told me I'm 272 and then don't get it checked for months on end, right? That's the difference.
Yeah, some Chinese companies send you stuff in the mail.
Right. Yeah. They're super personable. You can, have a conversation with them, spend, 20, 30, 40 minutes, however long it takes for you to feel comfortable until you leave there and say, okay, we're going to have a plan. This is how we're going to actuate a plan and make sure that the plan goes through for the whole period that you're going to decide. And that's the biggest thing that I could tell people in general is, go get tested, go get your baseline of whatever that is. At that point, you can make an educated decision with Gameday and say, hey, okay, maybe I am 500, but I'm poor sleeper. Maybe you can recommend, I think Samorlin is one of the peptides that you guys offer. Maybe that's the avenue that we need to go through, or whatever that may be. But until you see somebody, and it's not just a PCP that is covered down by insurance and goes, you're normal, because we're not going to cover that.
Yeah.
There's a whole other avenue of that you as a human being can take care of yourself. We spend tons of money going out, drinking and partying and doing whatever else we do. But then when it comes to us as males, we don't want to spend it on ourselves. Well, it's time that we flip that script and start, assisting that, right? I would like to be here for the next 50 years. That puts me at 100, roughly 5, right? I'll be there for my kids and whatever else to see them walk down the aisle, do whatever I need to do, or at least be able to walk and not be crippled.
Yeah, and just be active. I mean, you hit it right on the head there. As men, we typically just put up with it, and we suffer, and then our families suffer, and our coworkers suffer, and everybody around us, because then we're grumpy, we're not present, and without exercise, without these things, without healthy habits in general, everything around us suffers. And what you guys are doing is a huge help to men everywhere.
I like to think about it too. It's not just the person who's out of shape who's trying to get back in shape. It's the people that are in decent shape, like all of you guys, and you want to bring it back to that next level. It doesn't have to be, I'm so out of shape. We optimize. We like to use that word a lot. Optimize, your testosterone, optimize your health.
Well, we did talk a lot about, guys that do work out, but let's say there are guys that are afraid to step into a gym because of the shape they're in and stuff. I'm sure you see that too, and we see that a lot, that people feel like they have to be in shape to get in shape, and
that's a psychological aspect of it. If I feel comfortable walking into a gym, I think, I don't know if I could say this, but Planet Fitness, one of the models was because they were accepting of whatever size and condition you are. There was a big push for that.
Yeah.
Right. If you're feeling good, if I feel good, I'm going to get off the couch and go do what I want to go do, whether it's with my family or by myself, go skiing, snowboarding, parachuting, whatever that may be. But if I feel good, I'm going to want to continue doing that. If I feel like trash, well, I'm not going to want to go do it. And it's no different than, people who go to gym once a week and then get super sore and then don't want to go back because they're super sore. Well, yeah, you overdid it for that one day.
Yeah.
And now you don't want to go back the rest of the week, right? Let's tailor these things and build them out as they're supposed to be built.
We're talking about peptides and different things that can help with recovery, and that's another aspect of it too. I know I've benefited from that in the past too, where your recovery time's much faster, and you're excited to get back in the gym because you're not sore. I don't know if you want to list any of the peptides that do that, but the nice thing is that you can stack these, right? And you can kind of rotate through them. So talk a little bit about that, Gavin.
Yeah, I think you were referring to like the growth hormones, secretagogues, which was what you were on before. But yeah, it does definitely make a big difference, especially it can accelerate your gym gains. But that ability for you to recover is a great benefit that a lot of people notice. Like, if you're pretty intense chest workout, you might be out for days when it comes to the chest, but when you're on these peptides, you notice that you rebound much quicker. Those are the growth hormone peptides, but we also have peptides specific for just injury. And
we should be clear that they're not actually growth hormones themselves,
growth
right?
hormone peptides. Yeah, they're called secretagogues. So what they mean is that they're a peptide that triggers your body to release more growth hormone. So the benefit of that is we're just stimulating more production of your own growth hormone. We're not giving you a growth hormone. It's safe in the fact that you can only make so much growth hormone anyway. So as opposed to actually injecting growth hormone, there is no limit.
Big difference, and I think some people get that confused when we start talking in that direction. Yeah.
So, and then we have the peptides specific for like tissue recovery, like BPC 157, TB 500. You can do these mixed together. So some of these compounding pharmacies are getting quite intuitive or native with their blends, and they sometimes will put a growth hormone peptide and then throw BPC in there to help with like recovery, because now you're on an HGH peptide, and now you're lifting heavier, more likely to get some more micro tears, maybe some injuries. We put the BPC 157 inside there to help with the injury recovery, and then you have this kind of performance blend. So
there's a Wolverine stack, right? You were telling me about. Yeah.
Whoa! I didn't hear about this one.
that's the TB 500 and the BPC 157.
Yeah, I love the name. Yeah,
I'll tell you, I did it for a month or 2 months before surgery. Yeah, took a little bit off, got back on it. I attribute my healing process.
One of my favorite characters, by the way.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Captain America and Wolverine.
There you go.
One thing I would point out, a lot of these peptides are actually just synthetic versions of peptides that we already make. So BPC 157 is a peptide that is made in our GI system. TB, thymosin beta 4, which is TB 500, is a peptide that's made by the thalamus. it's similar to a peptide that's already made. So a lot of these peptides are just mimicking what we already make, and we're just increasing those levels.
Is there any fear of overdoing it? How do you guys help your patients navigate?
Oh yeah, most definitely, and that's why you should probably come see a medical provider, because these peptides, some of them are approved for indications, but some of them are not. Some of them are not fully studied to the same standard that a drug is studied in this country to be approved. Again, some of them are FDA approved, some are not. But you certainly, with any medication, you can overdo it with Tylenol. Same thing with these. You can overdose, underdose.
Is there any reaction with maybe other medications that people are on, that sort of thing?
There's certain peptides that you probably don't want to start in individuals that have uncontrolled hypertension, diabetes, certain things. So there are some conditions that would preclude people from being eligible for certain peptides.
Okay, good deal. What's next for you, Kelly? What do you got going on? And
I don't know. I think I have some goals this year, is to hopefully run a half marathon to a marathon that is prepped. I did it last year, or maybe a year before that, unprepped, as a gut check for my son and I. We showed up to the Rocky Run in Philadelphia unprepared. We ran 0. Him and I were taking selfies at each mile marker as he was walking. It was just basically to prove, the mind over the matter can pretty much do anything, whether you set, when you set your mind to it. So, continue in the fire service, helping people. I really enjoy Gameday in itself, not because I'm a client, but the fact is that I would like the stigma for males to stop. And I think it's time that people have a voice that maybe not. I was going to say, if, they can reach out to me on social media if they want, whatever that may be. But I think that's hugely important to me, because I think somewhere along the line we have failed that aspect.
Sure.
And I think that's time to, crawl out and be like, okay, hey, I'm not feeling all right. It's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Let's go figure it out. How do we figure it out? We have people to do that.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
So continue to work with Gameday and continue, saving lives and property, and continue just being me.
All you do. Yeah, for sure. And I want to hear how the race goes. So maybe I teeter on that one doing a marathon, or I'm like,
who reads half a book though, right? That's when I ran the half, I was like, who reads half a book?
I was always not to derail the conversation, but I was always like, I don't need to run a marathon. Like I'm good. And then a buddy and I were up bar hopping in New York City right after the New York City Marathon, and they're all out there with their medals. I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. And,
and
it's just the fact that it's accomplishments, right? As we get older, we find things are extremely hard to do. A couple years ago, I ran a century ride. I continue cycling. Hopefully this year I can cycle a little bit more. I have a little bit more energy, obviously, than last year. With my buddy Joe, we usually cycle on the Greenbelt constantly. And do a 30-mile maintenance ride. He does it religiously. He had his testosterone checked and was like 600. I was like, come on, right out of the gate. So now he's always showing off with me. See? Yeah. But it's a good brotherhood with that, and ensuring that we take care of each other as males. Right? Females, I think, have a different network of people that can take care of each other, and males are more like standoffish when it comes to, for lack of a better terms, feelings.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it's time to like broach that subject and be like, look, it's cool to be talking.
Yeah, it's
right? Cool to be talking about.
My wife's in urology in the hospital, and she sees guys that wait way too long to get things fixed, and by that point, it's too late.
Correct.
And it's a shame that this ego of ours gets in the way of asking for help.
I think in the future, and this goes throughout all industry, I might make a foolish prediction here, but with all the industries that go, whether it's construction, plumbing, police, fire, EMS, nursing, doesn't matter. The old stigma of the male who was run down at 44 and the young buck who's taken over with lack of experience and whatnot surpasses that. I think that's long gone. I think as we continue to have these open conversations at our level currently right now, and ensuring that the younger generation understands it's all right to have this discussion, and then continue doing that, at age 40, we're going to be jacked dudes who continue to outperform and also have the experience behind them.
There you go.
To continue moving forward, and then continue to mentor and groom the next generation that's coming. Because that's ultimately what are we here for, right? In the world, we're going to leave it better than we found it. Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah,
and whether it's
absolutely.
in this aspect or health or the fire service, that's how I want to leave the earth. A little better than I found it.
Next for game day, what's the future hold for you guys? Anything on the horizon?
We're growing. We're open 4 full days a week now. I can see in the very near future 5 days a week, adding that Wednesday, potentially adding some later in the evening hours for guys and women, obviously, that cannot get there between the 8 and 5. And just keep growing. We brought on some more providers, more medical assistants, and the next is, grow down to the York territory. I'm looking for real estate down there as well, and just kind of blow it up. Make Gameday Men's Health a national and actually international now brand name, home name. So about 450 open currently.
Wow.
Another
550 to go. So there's 1,000 out there, and we just keep doing what we're doing.
Awesome.
I think it'd be remiss to say this, but maybe touch it a little bit. We also, you guys also take care of women too, right? It's not just males. I think we didn't discuss that. Obviously, it's right. Gameday Men's Health, but there's a conglomerate of women, and whoever, maybe you, could be the next one. I think we're missing that part of women also, right? Because premenopause, menopause, all that stuff, that technology now has advanced enough that maybe the PCP is missing. Maybe that's where I shouldn't say it, or the togetherness that this Gameday Men's Health turns into Gameday Men's and Women's Health, or whatever that may be, but to push that, because I think a lot of times, even my wife, her and I discuss it. She goes back to the PCP and is like, oh, well, we don't really do this therapy or that therapy, and they don't have some outlet to go to take care of that. And I think we now have it, but now they're missing it. So just food for thought.
Yeah, we have a lot of women coming in for most of our services, and now obviously adding aesthetics in there, Botox, fillers and whatnot. They can come on in for that. But the peptides, the shockwave therapy, it's huge. Women get sore too from everything they do, and especially if they're going to the gym and being athletic. But I don't want to say it's around the corner for us, but the franchise does have a Her Way out there out in California. Hopefully that's the next step, bringing Her Way this way for women's hormone therapy.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
Her Way.
Oh,
you're ahead of your time there, Kelly.
Yeah. Oh, I always have been. I will say that I've always been there. So,
all right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I'll tell you, the time flies right by when it's
if you don't mind, one more thing. I said I encourage for everybody. If you're listening today, spread the word. Have that conversation. Have that conversation with your significant other. Then have that conversation with Gameday. Let's stop the stigma. If you want to have the conversation with me first, or John, or anybody else, let's have those conversations. Let's get it out in the open. And there's no shame in this. Go get your baselines. Go fill out the paperwork. Go get your baselines. My buddy was the one that went in 600. He was good to go. He went a different route, right? It was, I think, some sort of sleep aid or whatever that may be. They're not going to sell you something or give you something that is not good for you or you don't require. It's not. It's not a cattle chute of people just going in there just for things. Go there, get your baseline, have the conversation, and then make an educated decision from there, and have that conversation, and to stop this whole, keep it quiet type.
Yeah, and then we'll see you at Burn30.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I appreciate it, and until next time, stay healthy and happy, and get your baseline.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.